just to catch up on what we spoke about last week. And then from there, we focus on actually planning the week. Jipange Sunday is about how to panga the Sunday. We say here, usipojipanga, utapangwa. Usipojipangia, utapangiwa. The key thing that I shared last week is that we tend to work with the brain as if the brain is a logical organ. The brain is not a logical organ. The brain at its foundation is a biological organ. Therefore, the brain prioritizes meeting its biological needs. Anytime we set goals, we pursue projects, we create plans where we don't prioritize the behavior, the nature of the brain, we are doomed to fail. There are multiple attributes, but I find the three that we tend to struggle the most against is the brain's need. It's not even a choice, it's a need. The brain's biological overriding need for urgency, the need for novelty, the need for stimulation. That is why most of the important things you've ever completed in your life had a deadline attached to it, because that's urgency. And sometimes that's a deadline that is driven by someone else. That is the biological nature of the brain. We don't confess to it, but there is a certain high that comes when you fight against a deadline and then you finally click submit and then you say like, finally. It's a kind of, it's a source of dopamine. We think we are suffering, but our brain is actually enjoying. That's the brain's need for urgency. The things that make the most progress in your life are attached to urgency. Many of us probably wouldn't have graduated from high school if there wasn't a timeline. The term ends at this time. This is midterm. This is the end of first year. There's a timeline attached, and it comes with certain deadlines. First year ends here, second year ends here. The most important things that you've made progress with is because there was some kind of urgency, and mostly it's because there's a deadline. And most of the time, it's a deadline controlled by someone else. There are important things in your life that are staying stuck because of the lack of urgency. The brain is yours, but you're treating it as a logical organ. You're telling the brain, look at this goal. Don't you see how important the goal is? The brain is asking, where is the urgency? Give me urgency and we can work on this goal. The second one is novelty. Novelty. You have a nose on your face. It should not be anywhere else. You have a nose on your face. When you look out to the world, your eyes see the nose. In fact, babies in their initial weeks, they see the nose. And many times when you see them bringing their hands up, they are trying to touch the nose because they can see the nose and they're wondering, what is this thing seated on my face? But what does the brain do? It tunes it out. If you close one eye, you see the nose a little bit more prominently. But once you open both eyes, the nose disappears. That is how the brain is wired for novelty. Anything the brain sees all the time, it tunes it out. It has tuned out my nose and your nose, yet it's seated there. It's seated there right in the view of the eyes, but your eyes have already tuned it out because the brain has suppressed that signal. Anything that lacks novelty is going to die in your hands. Social media doesn't die of novelty. Every time you scroll down, there is something new. So your brain is going to go there. Your brain will pivot to social media because it's always getting novelty from there. So urgency is inescapable. Novelty is inescapable. Number 3 is stimulation. And this is the one that we'll work on today. Stimulation. Now, stimulation is about difficulty or reward from accomplishing what's in your hands. For most of us, the reason why we get stuck is because the goal is either too small, it's too small, you're like, I don't have to do that right now, or the goal is too big. And either of the two will keep you stuck. It will deprive you of stimulation. It's too small to stimulate your brain. It's too big for your brain to perceive that you can accomplish it. Those are the three. You lose interest. I see a question from Jane Otieno. What is novelty in this context? Let's talk about that because this question came up again last week. Novelty. Novelty is about newness. Novelty is about newness. What makes a novel? It is not a novel if you can predict the story. If when you start reading a novel, if you can predict the story, the storyline, the plot, it's not going to capture your attention. The reason you keep reading it is because something new keeps happening, something unexpected. Either the person you thought is responsible is actually the innocent one, or what you expected will fail succeeds. Something new happens. And this is the biggest trap. How do you wire newness or novelty into the same goals that you are pursuing? Perhaps this is actually the core for today. How do you wire novelty? So novelty is about creating newness. Let's say you are writing a report. You have two choices: to create novelty at the surface or novelty in the substance. Novelty at the surface, novelty in the substance. The brain doesn't care which one you do. It just needs you to create something new, to make it feel new, make it seem new. So let's say you are working on a report. One of the things you can do is change the location. You are in one part of the living room, you go to another part. Or you are using a certain kind of paper, you change the paper you're using, or you change the pen you're using. If you're playing certain music in the background, you like working with music, you change the music. Creating certain changes on the surface level. The problem is when we begin to change the substance. In other words, we change the content of what we are working on. The most common way we create novelty that is a distraction is you open your laptop, you open the browser, you start with the first tab, which is on the substance, the core of what you're working on. You start studying that. Before you know it, you've opened another one and another one and another one. You started with how AI is being applied in small businesses across Africa. Before you know it, you're studying why Elon Musk is about to invent a phone that will be chargeless. You deviate in the content, and that is a trap. The goal is for you and I to control how we supply novelty, newness to the brain in such a way that the brain gets its novelty on the surface. Change the location, change the music, change the material you're referencing or the texture, the pen, the color, the scents, the sounds, the light, but not the content. Your progress depends on the content. The collaboration of your brain depends on meeting the brain's needs. Because we've said the brain is not just a logical organ. The brain is first of all a biological organ. We are working with a biological organ that was here long before the school system, long before internet, long before AI. Jane, I see. I am a certified criminal on the explanation you have just given. Jane, you're not alone. The people in here, all of us together, if we just counted the number of internet tabs we've opened just this year, and we got $1 for every internet tab you've opened, we will all be financially set for life. Because internet, if there is a place where, in fact, there's an easier one. If I was paid for every single time my finger has scrolled up, just paid 1 cent every single time I scroll up 1 cent, I will have a couple of millions in my hands right now. I see him they were saying it's dollars. Yes, it will come to dollars. So Jipange Sunday is about how do we align ourselves to work with this biological organ. We desire logical goals. We have to use a biological tool to get there. There are many needs it has, but the three that will keep you stuck is the lack of urgency, the lack of novelty, or the failure to control how the brain experiences novelty and how we supply stimulation. And stimulation is making sure the goals, what the agenda is not too small, it's also not too big. If it's too small, the brain says this is nothing. If it's too big, the brain says nope, we are going to fail and we don't like failing. Those are the three. Logical goals, reasonable goals, meaningful goals, but they have to be accomplished using a biological tool. This biological tool is a donkey, and this donkey needs water. What is the water for the brain? Urgency, novelty, and stimulation. I spoke to a participant last week. I wanted to see if she's here. If not, I will ask for volunteers in a short while. Okay, so I have an invitation for you. We will run Jipange Sunday until the end of the year. Jipange Sunday itself is free, but I'm hoping that I can meet many of you in Nairobi at our annual event called Finish 2026. The goal is to create a watermark at this point and make the rest of the year more intentional than the first part of the year. So if you're interested, if you would like to join beyond just showing up in this Zoom meeting, if you would like to join, Gladys will share with you the WhatsApp number. Just send your name and number we will add you to that group. The advantage of that group is that we will be able to talk about these things during the week so that you don't only depend on coming here on Sunday, Jipange Sunday. In that group, there is a tool that I can't share here that I will share in the week. And that way you are able to connect with other people, because novelty and urgency and stimulation, the easiest way to meet all of them, the easiest way is to work with someone or work with other people. It's called body doubling. If you intentionally, for example, you have a report to write, if you went on Zoom, and I agree with Gladys here or Lydia or Lillian, and I say, can we meet at 2 p.m.? We enter Zoom, we are working, we are doing something meaningful for 45 minutes, I'm doing something meaningful for 45 minutes. It's called body doubling. The brain gets stimulation from the company. Even if I'm not talking to you, just know that I'm in there. It gets urgency because we are working for 45 minutes. And definitely, if I'm working for 45 minutes, I can't be doing something tiny or trying to accomplish the whole thing. I'm trying to accomplish something smaller. So that's the invitation. Send a message to Gladys, the number that she will share with you. You will be added to that group. And so let's now do some practical work. I'm sharing with you tools that made the biggest difference in my life. In 2014, I was in Nairobi. I was stuck, totally stuck. I was working. There is the working where you're just rotating wheels, but you are in the same spot. And every week that passes, you know it's never coming back. And then a month passes, and then a year passes. You get to the point where you stop setting New Year resolutions. The reason is because it's becoming painful, because 2009 resolutions are seated there, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. That was me in 2014 until I made that decision. I realized I have a brain that has been able to go through medical school. How come I can't make progress with my own goals. Does it mean the rest of my life I'm only going to grow in areas that have teachers and lecturers, not me as an individual? Does it mean the rest of my life my growth is always going to depend on someone else? And that was the very first time when I really started studying deeply in this area. There's a little book called The Human Machine. If you Google online, you will find an old copy written by Arnold Bennett. I discovered that book in 1997. I had read it, but I'd never really studied it. 2014 is the very first time I studied that book in detail. And in that book, there is a chapter called, a chapter about the brain. And he describes the brain as a wayward gentleman, the brain. That's because the brain has the power to do what it needs to do. It doesn't do it. Applying the concepts I'm sharing with you here changed everything. Between 2014, by the end of 2024, everything had completely changed. It's not just that decision, there were other layers, but that's where it begins from. Begins from that decision to use the brain not as a logical tool, but as a biological tool. But let's see whether we can make 2026 better than 2025, whether we can make more progress in 5 months than the first part of the year. Gladys, have you been able to share the contact? All right, going to see whether there's any question, and then we can proceed. Gladys, that was Gladys. Jane, I saw your message. I don't see any other message. I'm going to ask for a volunteer. I'll call out a couple of people. If you're willing to volunteer, we just have a brief conversation, and then we'll proceed. Beatrice, I haven't seen you for a while. Are you there? Elsie? Just calling out a couple of names. If you can get somebody to participate, that's what makes Jipange Sunday practical.
Doc, good
Anyone
morning.
Hey, Betty, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good to see you. It's been a couple of weeks to months. What are you looking at this coming week? If you could accomplish one thing, if you could finish one thing that has been hanging loose for a long time, what would that thing be?
One thing.
Okay, I will give you a couple of minutes. So just write down your agenda, break it down to up to 10 things, the things that you see coming in your week. Then I will come back to you shortly.
Thank you.
Can I get someone else? I'm gonna go with Gladys because I can see you on video. Yes, Gladys, this coming week, I want you to, Gladys, you too, write down your 5 to 10 key things that are coming up this week. Let me get someone else. I would love to have a few more people on video. Paula, do I see you there? Victor, do I see you? Paula, what are your 5? 5 to 10. Rose, I see you there. Calling out names so that I can get more volunteers. All right, Paula, do you have yours? Then we go back to Betty. Do you need 2 minutes?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, let's go back to Betty. Betty, come back with whatever you have already put down. Then back to Gladys and back to Paula.
Yes, Doc, let me start with tuition. And I have a job report to submit. I have personal projects to carry out. I also have projects for the parents coming in next week. But there are some simple other things that are yet to be planned for from
Fantastic.
tomorrow.
The job report, this one we give, somebody's paying for it, so we don't worry so much about that. When is the
Okay.
job report due?
On Tuesday.
You see, that has a deadline. That has a deadline. So the brain is taken care of from the deadline perspective. The things that
Yes.
suffer are not employers. I promise you, there's a better chance that the job report and the projects for your parents will get done before your personal projects.
That is the
Because
problem.
yes, your employer's project has a deadline. It comes with a deadline. It comes with the expectation. It comes with the consequences. When the salary is in the line, you will do anything. When the certificate and the salary are in the line, those are the two things that move us. My certificate or my qualification, my salary, and then of course sometimes my reputation. Which are your personal projects? Would like you to give me a couple, the specific ones.
Specific ones. I have some renovations to carry on. And it's planned for this week, but it's not very urgent because of the rains. So I have to ensure I get some people to work on them.
What is the deadline?
Saturday.
It has to be done by Saturday?
Yes.
Is there any among your personal projects that has been hanging loose for a while?
Yes.
Give us an example.
Cuckoo house.
Cuckoo house, is that a business in rearing chicken?
Just personal, not really for selling, just
Okay.
in case. But I find I've been losing the newborns. So because of the rains, I've been really planning what it.
Okay, so next week, what specific project will you come back and report done? Next week, Jipange Sunday.
I look for a solution on how to take care of my few chickens that are born. So you have to look for a fund somehow. So by Saturday, I believe we will have a solution to it.
Do you believe or you know you will have a solution?
I'm sure about this, Doc.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. We'll stop it there. We're looking forward to your report next week at Jipange Sunday. Back to Gladys. Thank you, Betty.
Hey, here I am. Good evening, Coach.
Go ahead.
Okay, I have, let me start with the one that really is affecting most of the things I'm doing, which is the mid-afternoon. I lose 3 hours every day in the afternoon, and that's really been something I've been postponing to work on, and I really must get it right, especially from last week. I said I would get it right. I still haven't. So
You
I
lose
just want to
hours
have
because of what? Because of what?
I lose the hours because I think I'm not so serious about that time and there's nothing urgent in that hour. But at the end of the evening, I find myself rushing to complete my tasks for the day, but I see 3 hours somewhere in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Just moving from room to room or maybe driving and staying in a site longer than I needed to. So I feel because I have managed to synchronize my morning, I wish I could achieve the same morning in the afternoon so that I don't lose those I would say daylight hours.
So what is the reason? Is it urgency? Is it novelty? Is it stimulation? What is the core reason why you lose those hours?
lack of urgency. There's really nothing urgent that is calling for my attention. And it's kind
Yeah.
of a boring time in the afternoon. So
That is
maybe
the word. The word is boring, right? So define it, because this is not just you, Gladys. This is all of us. So define boring from your personal experience of the afternoon, those hours.
Boring is actually there's nothing exciting. It's just normal. Normal. I don't even know how to define it. Maybe that's a thing. I've not known how to define that afternoon, so I can't
Yeah.
crystallize, say that this is what is taking my time. But I find it's reaching to 5, and now I have to rush and do what I had said I'd do during the day.
So what is the reason why now you need to rush? What is it that makes it necessary to rush?
Because I've promised myself to be a finisher. I don't want to go close over the day with unfinished tasks to the next day. So I'm finding now my 5 o'clock, I need to rush through what I needed to, and that loses the depth of which I want to do those work. So I've promised myself not
Absolutely.
to hand over something. Yeah.
Are those 3 hours empty?
Absolutely not, really. They're not. I'm not doing nothing, but I'm not doing
Yes.
anything.
So let's find out what would you be doing part of those 3 hours?
Now it's a holiday time, so probably chatting with my teenage son most of
Chatting
the
with your
time.
teenage son.
Yes, I would probably be on social media and maybe calling up a friend.
So
That is not necessary.
the question we are asking is, what is your brain getting during those hours? Because the brain is never idle. The brain is always meeting its needs. So that when I feel boring, that it is boring, during that time, the brain is not lying down saying, when you are done boring, wake me up. No, the brain is doing its thing. The brain is getting fed. It's meeting its needs during that time. Because boring is always a combination of at least one of the 3 needs. I mean, 2 of the 3 needs. So you're meeting at least 2. You're meeting maybe novelty and stimulation, or urgency. And and for example, when you're on social media, we don't realize it, but there's a quote unquote urgency. When you're watching a short reel on social media, you want to see how quickly you can get to the end. And if you lose interest, you move immediately to another, because your brain is looking for stimulation and wiring urgency into that moment. So for you, Gladys, this is the afternoons. If everyone in this room, if we were just paid, if we were just paid just a little bit specifically to take care of just 2 hours in the afternoon, and you actually did something that grows you consistently just 2 hours in the afternoon, the growth that you'll experience is remarkable. So what do you see as the next step, direct, simple step that you could take for this coming week to recoup 3 times 5? That's at least 15 hours, right? 15 hours. When you're learning a new language, in 20 hours, you learn more than a third of the language. 20 hours. Can you imagine what 15 hours is going to do on the core goals, the important things? Go ahead.
So I want to do some depth reading in my core craft. So I could redeem at least 1 hour of that in depth reading. So I could start with 30 minutes, then add it the next day until at the end of the week, I have a rhythm of depth reading for 1 hour.
Okay.
Because I enjoy reading anyway. So the brain will get the stimulation it needs.
So then you need to wire in all the 3. Make sure there is an urgency, which means it's a deadline. That means you need to have a start time and a finish time. What time will you start? What time will you finish? But then also you have to take care of stimulation. Make sure you define clearly what you're going to read during that time. You have the whole book, don't try to read the whole book. It is just read a chapter and write down my thoughts about it, or read an article. You define it in advance so that it's not too small. You can't say read a paragraph. That's too small. The brain will ignore it. You can't try to read the entire book. Your brain wants to read the entire book, but you remind yourself, I have the rest of the year. I will get through it, and the knowledge will accumulate. And then, of course, the newness, the novelty. You can give yourself permission to read it aloud, to read and write, jot some notes, to highlight if it's a book you own, creating newness on the surface actions without changing the content. So that novelty touches the surface, but not the substance. The substance is where the growth lives. My logical growth lives in the substance, but my brain's need is for what happens on the surface to meet its need for novelty. Then we will hear from you, Gladys, next week and see what progress you made.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Gladys. Let's go to Paula, and probably we'll finish there. Are you there, Paula? Oh, yes, I see. All right, what are your, let's go up to 5.
I haven't gotten all 5. I think, when you're spotlighted for some reason, your brain freezes. I think that is what happened, because I was probably not expecting to,
Okay.
But maybe the 3 things that have come to mind is, one, I've been trying, like Madam Gladys has said, there's that element of going through social media to create that stimulation. And I think this very weekend, it's something that has been weighing me a lot, and I've been thinking to myself, I know it's possible because previously there's some social medias that I dropped off, and it's now 1 year since I dropped off those and maintained one. But now this one and now YouTube are somewhat coming into kind of grapple on me, and I really want to manage that. And then the second thing is, I've been trying, now that holidays are on, I've been trying to get a proper holiday study or a proper holiday structure. And for some reason, that one I entirely and purely blame it on me. I think because also still, now that you've spoken about it, I realize the urgency is lacking. Because I've been thinking, wacha tu, it's so for that, taking it a little bit, quote unquote, lightly, I've not clearly put it down, clearly drafted it and put it down. So, for example, I decide we're going to study this and I want to study it with them. So sometimes I find that the times keep fluctuating. It's not constant. So I think now that I was thinking about it and telling myself now, there needs to be that structure. So it's something that I've been really, really wanting, and I want to do that and do it right. Then also the past few days, I've had a particular project I initiated, a family project I initiated last year. And for some reason, it's been pending to date. It's really been, the past few days, it's really been, there's a stimulation, like an urgency that has suddenly been created, and it's giving me a sense of pressure. But it involves me traveling a little bit to go pick some documents and whatnot. So I may not say I will make it through this week, but I'm hoping that the month will not end without getting it rolling. I think those are the 3 that quickly come to my mind.
Let me tell you one of the words that if I put electrodes to your brain, and one of the words I would say to you, which logically you think would stimulate your brain, but which stimulates so little of the brain it almost doesn't register, is the word hope. Hope. If I told you do, and I had electrodes on your brain, the areas of the brain involved in physical movement actually fire up. But if I say the word hope, so the brain doesn't know what to do with hope. So I think that's why I agree with John Maxwell when he says, hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. So Paula, hoping that it will be done before the end of the month. We do this all the time. It's not just you, Paula, it's all of us hoping. I hope it doesn't rain. I hope we do that. Secondly, did you know that the brain gets satisfaction when you think about something? Because when you think about something, the brain secretes neurotransmitters as if you are doing it. So that when you're planning to write, you're planning to teach, you're planning to go to the gym, those areas of your brain that would experience it, it feels like you're already doing it. Now it gets worse. When you talk about it, when you post about it, write it in your diary, tell someone about it, and you hear somebody saying like, I have been going to the gym, and then you are like, oh, I have registered for the gym. The difference is they have been going to the gym. When they talk about going to the gym and when they are in the gym, the same areas of the brain that get stimulated also get stimulated for you when you are like, I have registered for the gym. I have bought shoes for the gym. I have researched and I know the best gyms. So it feels like you are both in the same subject. You're not. Because one of you is in the gym. The other one is hoping to go to the gym, thinking, planning to go to the gym. So this family project, Paula, which elements have been lacking? Is it urgency? Is it novelty? Is it stimulation? Is it a combination?
Yes, it's a combination, but now the combination is made worse with an element of anxiety and doubt. Yeah. And I think more because the stimulation is there because there was a reason for this project to be called for. Because, it even involved calling the whole extended family to come sit down. And that was successful. Like the first phase was done. So now to think all eyes are on me to execute it, I'm like, wa, nitatoboa, nitaweza, yes.
So I see that all elements are probably present, but I think the biggest one is stimulation. And part of the reason why stimulation dies is ownership. What is ownership of the actions, ownership of all the steps, ownership of the outcome? That's part number one. And then number two is the connection back to the interest or the reason. Because stimulation is connected directly to interest. Interest in terms of why does this matter? Why is this important? Why is this in my hands? Why can't Jeremy take care of this? He goes near to that office every single time. So it's a combination of those, but I think that for you, stimulation is in there. And so the thing is that the deadline always works because the deadline is the final step. But where we start from is stimulation first, being able to see the project and see that it's either it's doable. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's doable. That's where it starts from. It is first of all from stimulation, the brain, being able to visualize it and see it and break it down. And then of course, once you start doing it, you stay consistent as long as you are able to manage the brain's need for novelty, making sure you're meeting novelty using surface changes without changing the content, the core, the soul of whatever you're trying to achieve. And then the deadline keeps you moving so that you break it down and you have smaller deadlines. You say, chapter 1 of this article must be done. Chapter 1 of this book must be read. The introduction of this speech I'm writing must be done by this time. The first 10 clients must be called. The first 10 students' work must be evaluated. You break it down so that you don't wait for the final big deadline. You create smaller deadlines in between. So what are you reporting to us at the end of this week before Jipange Sunday next week, Paula?
So, what I look forward to reporting is how I'm going to, or the progress of my social media limit, and also the progress of having that holiday structure in place.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I like that. So here is something else I want to recommend to you. It's going to be very hard for all of us to eliminate social media. But one of the things you can do with social media is trim it. Trim your social media so that even when you get exposed to it, you automatically get exposed to the content that is aligned to where you want to go. If there are people who are annoying, they're always sharing irrelevant content, and you still remain on those social media channels, you eliminate those people. You should see my channels. There are people who are very close to me. I have never seen anything they posted. 2 weeks ago, I realized one of my former high school friends, we were really close, got married like two months ago. I wasn't invited, but also I did not see it. You aggressively from today, aggressively start muting accounts. Every single time somebody shares, there's an accident, and the first thing they do is to share the gory images, mute them. If they're always sharing irrelevant political stuff, provocative stuff for the sake of that, mute them. And that is for those channels that you remain on. Every single time I go on my Twitter, for me, Twitter has now become an educational platform because it is hashtags that I follow. It is accounts that I learn from. So that even if I open it, yes, I'm on social media, but I'm not distracted with everything else that is going on. It takes time. And the two channels were actually three channels where it's very easy for you to curate and make sure that you are receiving content that is aligned. The first one is LinkedIn. The second is YouTube. And the third is Twitter. Those three. I use Instagram from time to time. It's gotten to a point where I just know that what I'm going to see is going to relate to mindset, the brain, the heart, training, and things to do with public speaking, presentation, storytelling. It's because I have been aggressively, if I go on my LinkedIn and I don't mute someone or unfollow someone on that day, it's a surprise. Because like LinkedIn some of these channels can actually become an aid to you because you are going to go there. You are going to go there. You better go there with some control in terms of who you are going to see there. Mute people on WhatsApp. My goodness. Please mute those stories on WhatsApp. Just mute, because that is love. Instead of your content aggravating me, I want to give you and I the peace that I don't get. I don't even know how to put it. So, but clean up those channels. Okay, that's Paula. We will see you next week.
Can I kindly ask a question based on that
Yes,
recommendation?
go ahead.
Now, probably you've gone ahead and trimmed, and now, like definitely the algorithm works based on what it sees or notices you're constant with. Now,
Yes.
to what extent or how can one limit themselves? Because sometimes, yeah, you may be watching something that is relevant, but then there's also the element you see where you also don't want to, and I would say subconsciously you're yes, consuming this content, but you may not realize it at that particular time. You're over consuming. So what's the limit to that, or what's the best approach to that?
Overconsumption is the default. Overconsumption is the default. Overconsumption is a sign that the brain has nothing else that is deemed urgent, important, time-bound. So if the brain has 2 hours, it will invest those hours in social media. If the day is not structured by Jipange Sunday, you plan the day ahead, you plan the week ahead, the brain will plan for you. Either ujipange or your brain ikupange. It's one of the two. The brain cannot be idle. period. The brain cannot be idle. It will find something to do. How does it find something to do? It sells your attention free. It's like, hey, Zuckerberg, do you need to sell attention? Here is a brain that has a master's or a bachelor's in accounting. It's like, do you need a brain from Kenya that is proficient in English, able to type procrastination? Congratulations. Good mastery of the English language, has studied accounting and business studies. Here, take it. That's what we do, unfortunately. So I show up with my degree. I'm like, hey, Zuckerberg, who else is there? Hey, Amazon, do you need a brain that has gone to medical school and it has nothing to do right now? Do you need free attention that has a master's and a fellowship and is proficient in Googling and searching and has a very strong finger for scrolling? Here you go. That's because if I did not Jipange Sunday, someone else will panga me. Someone else will panga you. Thank you for that question. I would like to see if anyone has any questions. Today we've gone a little bit over time. It's meant to end at 1:45. And thank you, Betty. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you, Paula, for participating. I want to see if there is any question. There's no question. This is my challenge to you. From next week, we will begin using a certain tool. But before we start using that tool, here's my challenge to you. Define the agenda for the week in advance. Define the agenda for the week in advance and do that today. The agenda for each day and account for the period, the work periods that you will have. What happens from when you wake up until you get to work or you get to school, whatever it is? What happens between 8 a.m. and midday? What happens in the afternoon? What happens from 5 to 10 p.m.? Any hour that is not already spoken for, the brain will gladly pick it and throw it something else. So it's either you speak for it. Is this an hour for leisure, intentionally selected, and what the leisure would contain? Or is it an hour for resting, just purely resting, for sleeping, for eating? What is the hour already spoken about in advance? From next week, we get into a deeper layer, but I hope you leave this meeting at least with the willingness to contend with the fact that your brain is not a logical organ. Your brain is a biological organ. It needs urgency. It needs novelty. It needs stimulation. The second thing I hope you carry out from here is the brain can never be idle. You can feel idle, you can feel bored, but the brain will never be bored. Your brain will always find something to put its attention to. And the third thing I hope you carry out is any hour that is not spoken for, that is not already accorded or planned or accounted for, the brain will find something to do with it. I saw a question come up. Is it a question or two questions? Let's see. Rose Lamai, my biggest challenge has been organizing my evenings. Organizing my evenings. Rose, what your statement means is my challenge has been getting my logical mind to override my brain in my evenings. Getting logic to override biology. If you wire biology with urgency, novelty, and stimulation in advance, it will be different. So Rose, next week you will report to us how your evenings have gone. Plan every evening in advance. Plan every day in terms of what happens in the evening in advance. Make sure you post it on your fridge or by the door or on the mirror in your bathroom. Shukri, what would you suggest for an overstimulated brain? I have two consultancies that are going. What's taken a backseat is a course I started a few months ago. It's part-time, but lagging a bit because it is just so busy. So Shukri, thank you for that question. It's not lagging because it's busy. It's lagging because the consultancies come with a deadline. The part-time course doesn't come with a deadline. If I put you, Shukri, if I put you into a full-time program today, you will feel pressured, but you will start making faster progress. You will start making faster progress because the deadline is no longer hope. It is now a strategy. I prioritize family time on weekends. In other words, family time is urgent because if it doesn't happen over the weekends, it's gone. It's family time comes up. I will speak with my son, I will speak with my daughter, I will speak with my family because it comes to the center. And the only way for your part-time program to behave the same way is to bring it to the center. I need to figure out how to squeeze in time during the week for this course, as it is essential for how I want to pivot my career. So your brain logically knows that it's important. Now the question is, how do we wire it to meet the biological needs of your brain? Is Shukri still on? If you are on, Gladys, I see that. I need everyone to hold me accountable for next week for my 10K. Tess has given everyone, please remember Tess' name. Tess wants us to hold her accountable to do 10K daily steps. That is as good as it gets. The 10K steps will stimulate your brain because your brain needs a physical release. That's one of the most transformative things that you can do. Urgency, you have to get 10K every day. So Gladys, you rushing in the evening to complete the agenda for the day. I'm like, yes, that means the agenda is getting done. We need to get more effective, but it's getting done. That is urgency. And then, of course, novelty tests. Find ways to walk in multiple different areas. If you drive, park as far as you can. Don't use the elevator. Use
I need to
the
tell you a
steps.
story. So what I do is I walk from my house. I'll just jog. I'll exercise in my house. I'll use my staircase up and down. And then they'll not hit the 10K. They don't get to 10K. That's the problem. But then again, it's because I've been working from the house again. I'm a consultant, so I work from my house. So I rarely go out unless I'm going to work from outside, meet a client, or it's a specific thing that I'm going to do outside. So I'm trying to go outside more, because every time I take a walk away from the house, then I feel like I have a clear mind when I come back. But the problem is just telling myself to get out of the house to achieve the 10K. I'll get to 6 or 5, but I'll never get to 10K.
What is the reason between urgency, novelty, and stimulation? What do you think is the barrier?
Mine is stimulation, I think. I'll give myself excuses. I'll say, oh, it's cold because where I live, it's a bit cold. So I'll say, it's too cold. Let me just walk around my house or maybe the neighborhood, but I'll never get beyond that.
Okay. All right. So before you shower in the morning, you walk for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Before lunch, you walk for 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll do that.
If there's a client that is going to be on Zoom and you don't have to be very, very active, put your headphones on, whatever it is, you walk around the house as you listen to the conversation.
Okay.
Just keep walking because you'll still be productive. So you're already hitting 6,000. You are in the top 5% of the most active people across Africa. So you're already doing something.
Yes, so but the other thing is also my family discourages me. They'll just be telling me like, you're so skinny, why are you walking? Why do you want to lose weight? So I'll be relaxed. Now I'll see, 6K is enough for me today. So that's also another thing.
We can't win against your family. Even if we tried, we are powerless.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
We don't have power. There we don't, but keep doing what you are doing. Did Shukri, I see you still on. I really love this question you shared. We just want to hear what you will report next week. If you are there still, Shukri. And thank you, Tess, for sharing. Okay, Shukri, go ahead.
Yes, I'm still here. I think what I can report next week maybe is to definitely find time to squeeze that in. And the way that I can do that, I don't sleep that well at night, but I can make an effort because I do wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's just that I don't get out of bed for at least an hour. So maybe if I do get out of bed at that 5 o'clock, just to get started with that work so that I feel like I'm achieving something.
Yeah. Do you consistently wake up at around that time?
Yes.
It's stimulation is as long as, so you find a way to get physical stimulation that doesn't make that doesn't wire your brain to expect to be uncomfortable. Don't expose yourself to cold. Don't do anything so that you don't stack, because the brain will record that experience. This is what the brain does. It records a certain combination of biological wiring that automatically deploys at that time. So what you want to do is to make sure when you are changing this, you change it in such a way that your brain doesn't record discomfort. Many of us have difficulty waking up in the morning because when we were kids, we used to be woken up suddenly, taken outside and showered with cold water. The brain wired that when you're waking up, you think that is what is about to happen. You wake up in the morning, then you're like, what is, you start crying, your mother is like, I will give you a reason to cry. Your brain wired that and you're like, oh my goodness, this is, so you find a way. Wake up at that time and find one thing that you really enjoy. Is it a cup of coffee or chocolate, whatever it is? You wake up and then, so you do something really pleasant and you make certain progress. You begin to wire your brain to anticipate that something nice happens here and you make progress. The logical part does not stimulate your brain. Forget about it, doesn't. The biological bit. You wake up, this is not the time to wake up and start running on the treadmill and huffing and puffing. No, something gentle. You wake up and drink something. Wake up and put on your cozy sweaters, something pleasant, so that you ease off. You create a certain pleasantness. Because what is one of the most common reasons we stay in bed? It's already warm. It's already pleasant in there. It's like, so the brain is like, why would we leave this place to go to the bad, cold world out there? So you carry whatever, that comfort that is near that, if you have a cozy robe, you can even, one of the things I started doing is, and don't laugh at me, I had my sweatshirt when I started going to the gym consistently. I would lie in bed and my sweatshirt is under the blanket with me. Immediately I wake up, I put it on, I still continue feeling warm. And I start going out because I'm going to sit in the car. The seats are cold. I had a leather seats on my car. Seats are cold. You're feeling it's cold. But once I started wearing this, it's a hoodie. It is warm. So I continue feeling cold, but I'm driving. And then the body is like, oh, going to the gym is not so bad after all. Creating that kind of shift. So hoping, Shukri, hoping next week we hear that you've put in 5 hours, one daily, or maybe 5.5 hours of making progress, because the way you express this sounds like it will actually give you a step forward, but you have to win against biology first before logic begins to win consistently. So thank you for joining in and welcome to Jipange Sunday. Thank you everyone who has participated. Shukri, will see you next week with a good report. Gladys, Paula, Tess, Betty, and everyone else, please go ahead and commit to your pathway for the next week, and I will see you back here on Sunday next week. Thank you so much, Gladys, for facilitating. Thank you, everyone,
I have
for
a
joining.
comment before we leave, Doc. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
We had so many men. Yes, it's Tess. We had so many men on this chat, and we only had women. So next week we are challenging men to ask questions.
So the dudes on the call, that right there is urgency. Urgency has, Moses is laughing. Moses, urgency. Moses will part the sea for us next week. And Victor, you hear that. Arthur, you hear that. All right. Thank you, Tess. Thank you, everyone. I will see you all next week. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead. My name is Dr. Joke Mogire from the House of Mastery. I am coming to you all the way from Illinois in the US. So it is midday my time. It's actually 5 minutes past 1. See you same time next week. Goodbye.